All right. Well, welcome everybody. Want to welcome you to this week's webinar. We want to do it on franchises or business opportunities. We get this question quite a bit, so it's one thing that we wanted to address about what we do here at Snowie, and we're pretty proud of how we go about doing the business and what it does for our customers and the advantage that it gives them. And Lyle, of course, has put a presentation together and to help us guide our discussion, and we're going to go from there. If you have questions right now, we get a lot of feedback from everybody's phones and computers, so I've muted everybody at this point. If you have a question, feel free to submit it in the chat window, or at various times I will unmute everyone and see if we want to get a response or questions from people at that point. And we'll go ahead and get started. Lyle, I'll turn the time over to you. Get rolling.
Okay. Just a quick who's attending from Snowie. Obviously, Aaron is here, myself, and Aaron, I believe you have Carl with you.
Gordon's with me right now, and Carl should be in any
I'll be shortly, okay. And then Gordon. So, as what we're going to do, as Aaron said, we're going to walk through over the last number of seminars or webinars that we've done. You have seen the financial opportunities that Snowie presents was our first one. We've walked through which equipment, we've gone through managing employees, a Q&A period. We talked about the bus, we use it financing, but one of the things we never talked about is what is the true business opportunity? How does it compare with what's out there in the marketplace? And thus our topic today of a franchise or business opportunity. And what I thought we would do to begin with is walk through really how a franchise works a little bit and what the opportunities are that are presented with a franchise. So as we go through that, if you have questions, as Aaron said, put them in the chat room and send them to us and we'll answer them as we go. But why a franchise? The nice thing about a franchise is you have a parent company, somebody that is bringing to the table some expertise. This is somebody that knows the business, they know the marketplace, they know their company, how it fits in that market. And so one of the things you're looking there for that is not just an expertise, but a proven track record. A lot of people can say, oh, we're in the business, and look what our great thing is. And if they've been in the business for a year or 2 or 3 years, they don't bring a lot of expertise. What they bring is the latest fad rather than something that has proven itself over time. You look at the most successful, obviously McDonald's is one of the most successful franchises ever and has laid the foundation, if you will, for what franchises are. They were just recently surpassed by the most franchise locations in the world is now Subway, and continues to grow as well internationally as well as locally. But again, those two are great examples of proven track records on that. They have a duplicatable system. Why reinvent the wheel if somebody else has already built that wheel? McDonald's, this system is so duplicatable, they literally, when the store is laid out, when it's built and laid out, it's laid out exactly as they tell you to do it. They very systematic that they can have you go in, remove 2 pieces of equipment, set those aside, and there's a new piece of equipment that goes in its place. So when they make a change, it's literally just moving pieces around, and they know what every franchise has, the layout inside the store, and all the equipment where it's located. It's duplicatable. They can walk into any store and know exactly the layout and design that exists there. And again, a great example of that. You have a protected territory. You don't have to worry about another one coming right on top of you. In the case of McDonald's, they have to be so far. Subway is, I think the protected territory is 1.5 miles. They cannot be within of each other. So you've got this bubble that you exist within and don't have to worry about going outside of, or another franchisee coming inside your territory with that. So you are protected in that way. Name brand recognition. A lot of that comes with the size of the companies, that there is recognition. You see a lot of national ad campaigns and that with the large ones. Smaller franchises don't have that purchasing power to do national ads. And so their brand recognition isn't going to be as great, but they still offer all of the other items. And then a support system. When you have questions, you're trying to figure out, how do I manage employees? A lot of the things that we've been doing with you, those are support systems that you'll see a lot of times with parent companies in franchises. Contrast that to a traditional business opportunity. Traditional business opportunity, you're on your own. Pure and simple, you own the company, you do what you want, you make or break it all on your own. And that's exactly what it happens is you've really got limited access to expertise unless you're going through, there is access if you go through the Small Business Administration. SCORE offers options, expertise to help businesses that are starting out to reduce the number of failures, but nobody that is an expert in your particular business. You bring your own expertise in that case. The only track record you have to look at is that you have competitors that have shown that it can be done. And so you're following those competitors and seeing their success and saying, okay, what are they doing that I'm not doing, and duplicating that. So it means you have to create and invent your own systems as you go through that. It also means brand name recognition. When you're bringing that in, no one's going to know what that is. One of the nice things with that recognition is to walk in. Using Snowie as an example here, I've been at soccer tournaments where kids have seen us at other soccer tournaments and knew immediately, oh, I didn't know Snowie was going to be at this one. I mean, it is, somebody said they've been interested as they travel around to soccer tournaments and baseball and that kind of stuff. There's enough Snowies around, not just this area, but throughout the United States, that they said, you know, it's funny to watch how many people refer to it as a Snowie. Even when it's not a Snowie, they said you become like Kleenex and Xerox, that they use Snowie to mean a snow cone, and that's brand recognition that comes with that. Your own support system. It's whatever you develop. As we talked about, there are some support systems through government agencies or groups that are willing to support that, like the SCORE, but for the most part, you're on your own.
Hello.
You gain an open territory. I'm sorry.
It's Aaron. I just wanted to interject here. So when you say traditional business opportunity, I feel it's a little misleading. What you're talking about here is talking about somebody doing their own business on their own, correct?
This is starting your own company and doing everything completely on your own. You want to get into the printing business, so you go out and buy printers and open it up and start doing it. You want to be in the copier business. You want to open a restaurant, and so you open it up. You know, I'm going to open a restaurant called Lyle's Hamburgers. Now my competitors are Five Guys. Well, Five Guys does it. Why can't Lyle's Hamburgers do it? But I'm having to either go spy on my competitors and figure out what they did, or literally create all of these things that we're talking about here on my own. And
Gotcha.
so thank you, Aaron, but that's what I'm referred to as a traditional business opportunity, is you just start your own company from scratch. So those are your two contrasting models. Now, what is the cost if I want to franchise? You know, they're going to give me that information at 100% free. No, there's a cost to that. You pay a franchise fee that gives you the territory and provides you the protection in that territory. And again, the protection is from any of the other franchisees coming in. You pay royalties. What that royalties are, an ongoing support fee that you pay to them, that they are able to use for advertising, promotions, that kind of stuff. Whether they choose to or not, that's up to them. Typically, they take either a percentage of your sales or they take a flat fee. When you look at the percentage of the sales, and the third one, and I'll come back to the royalties in a little bit. The third is franchise oversight. It means that they have built a system that they want you to duplicate. And so they're going to watch over that and make, like, for lack of a better term, that they're going to want to have you laid out exactly as they tell you to. If it isn't done that way, then they want you to change that and modify that as you go through it. So it's following their guidelines, doing things their way, and so you have that set of rules, regulations, and parameters that you have to live within and work around. On a traditional business, the cost is you're taking the risk on your own. It's make it or break it. It's entirely up to you. And so a little more people are willing to spend that money to get that expertise that comes in a franchise, because it simply reduces, they say most businesses, with a 50% will fail in the first 5 years. Franchises are less than that. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit more in a minute.
Hey, Lyle.
Yes.
We're getting people that have actually called into Snowie saying they're only hearing every other word when you're speaking. If you guys are getting that, if other people are experiencing that, please put that in the chat window. I want to know how much that's happening.
I'm going to switch.
You're going to switch to phone? I was going to say we were going to mute our end too, but why don't you do that? Switch to phone, and that'll help us out. I'm getting some feedback that they're hearing it okay. Other people are saying no problems, so maybe it's their connection. Hey, Lyle, while you're changing up, I'm going to answer a question here. This is from Jesse. Advertising question. How do you guys handle what I term the Groundhog Day effect? It seems like every spring I have to start from zero. Most of my contacts at daycares, schools, PTAs, and VBS have changed, so I have to convince them of my product's worth and build trust every year. Does anyone else run into this? Solutions, techniques, etc. You know what? Why don't we, while we're in the middle of this, let's tackle that question. We'll hit that right at the end, Jesse, if that's okay, and talk about some different approaches we have to that. Lyle, we have you back? Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to.
Can they hear you okay?
Yeah, they can hear me. Everybody's saying that they can hear us. It was
Okay.
like one person that was having an issue. Yeah. So,
Man, we gotta get in.
hey, Lyle, I just did £27. You need to put £27 into your phone. Okay, Lyle, I've got you on phone now.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. I'm going to do a real quick recap then, to do this real fast for those that thought it was cutting out. What we looked at is franchising. What the parent company brings to you is the expertise, proven track record, a duplicatable system. Again, why reinvent the wheel? Protected territory, branding recognition, and support system. That's what you get when you buy a franchise, is they're helping you start your company from scratch and able to, instead of winging it on your own. And that's what happens in a traditional business opportunity, is you want to start a company at random and said, I want to get into a restaurant business or whatever it happens to be. You've got to design everything. You have to duplicate competitors or figure it all out on your own. So no extra expertise, and the only track record is your competition. So you have to create your own systems, your brand name, your recognition, and develop your own support system to do it. But you can go anywhere you want to go with that. In franchising, the cost is a franchise fee to buy your territory, your royalties. They pay a percentage of your sales or a flat fee, and then you live by the rules and regulations of that franchise company that they have established. To a traditional business, the cost is really just that you're on your own. So you make or break, it's entirely up to you. But you don't pay franchise fees, you don't pay royalties, any of that. So what's the best choice? Well, let's look more closely at a franchise. According to azfranchises.com, the top franchise complaints out there are, number one, royalties. Is the vast majority of franchises feel that they're paying royalties and they don't get the support that they think they should for the money that they're spending. So they're giving this money back to the parent company, but they're getting almost nothing in return. And saying, okay, we bought the equipment or the franchise name or whatever it happens to be, and you helped us get up and running. That makes sense. That was what the franchise fee was for, or the franchise fee up front. But the royalties is supposed to be helping us continue to develop, and most of them feel that they don't. They're just simply writing a check at the end of every year on it. The second they have is too many restrictions. This is the franchisers in your face. They control your business and tell you how to do that. A friend of mine owns a Dairy Queen, and he said he can't wait until his contract is up because he hates the endless oversight that exists there. He said, yeah, I understand I get brand recognition with it, but in the long run, I think I can run it better than they can. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. But it is the second most common complaint is too many too many restrictions that exist there. And then the third is the potential opportunity with the business is oversold. Top 10 franchise opportunities, even then you still have a high or a failure rate. Now some, like motels and hotels, those are larger investments, but their failure rate is only around 4 to 8%. But of the top 10 listed, they showed up to 36% failure rate. So you still got a 1 out of 3 even when buying a franchise and going with that. The interesting thing with that is if you do get into the business and it doesn't succeed, Carl mentioned earlier today we were talking and said, that the franchise fee is lost if you're not successful. So I can go in and do all the work and it fails, and yet the parent company is still keeping that franchise fee that I paid up front. I can't recoup that. I buy equipment, I can resell equipment, but a fee is just simply a lost expense. Protected territory. That's a great theory when you buy it, but what does it protect you from? The only thing you're protected from is other franchise owners of that company. So it's franchisees. If I'm doing Subway, I'm not going to have another Subway within the 1.3 miles of me. I'm not going to have them sitting up next door. So I'm protected in that case from my franchisees. However, my competition is still there. So the protection is an internal protection only. The other side is when you have a territory, if I have competitors that can go anywhere and set up anywhere, they've got a freedom. And in the snow cone business, that freedom to go anywhere you want to go is an example. So if you're limited by a territory, you have to stay within that, but your competition can go anywhere and travel and do anything that they want to do. Proven track record. What is the track record of all franchisees? One of the interesting things that occurs here is when you're talking to a franchise, they always use their best examples. But what's the average? If they've got 500 franchises, what's the average of the 500? What's not? I don't want to know what the best 10 are. I want to know what your average is, and because you're going to have good and bad, where does that balance out over the life of the franchise organization, as well as all of them? They tend to typically show a few high successes and ignore what the averages or the majority are doing. How many are still in business after 5 years? So not only what are the records of them, but what's the success rate of those on an individual franchise? And these are questions that anybody that provides expertise to people looking for them, these are the kind of questions that they're asking. I've had an opportunity to sit down on a couple of different occasions with guys that literally go out and help people buy franchises. And these are the kind of things that they help them look for and watch for. The expertise that they bring to the table, what is that expertise? Is the company got a long-term history, or is it a startup organization? Has it been around 2 or 3 years or 5 years, or has it been around 20 years or longer? And so we're looking at that expertise that they're bringing to the table and their knowledge of the industry and the equipment and all the things that you deal with. What does the parent company bring to the table? The expertise. Again, how much? That long-term history or the startup, the brand recognition. One of the things with franchising is it's recognized very commonly as an organization in the franchise market because everybody's buying it, but do the customers recognize the name? I was talking about the guy that says Snowie is kind of like the Xerox and Kleenex. It's become a commonplace name because of the number of Snowies that are out there. And do businesses offer that instant recognition in many of it? So is the recognition among customers, or is it among franchisees as you go through that? And then the cost of the royalties. Now, we talked about this a little bit earlier. There are two types of royalties. A percentage which ties directly to your sales, and that means the parent company is going to require some kind of a point of sale system, usually a cash register that's tied into a computer system or a phone line and transmits the data, so they keep track of what your sales are and know what their percentage is they're going to be taking. The other is a flat fee. Flat fees can be reasonable if your sales are excellent. However, if the sales are very costly, if you don't, or the flat fee is very costly if your sales are low. I'll give you some examples here. If you had a fee of, say, $4,000 that you paid every year, well, if you had $100,000 in sales, that looks pretty good. That means I'm only paying a 4%. So that's 4% of your gross sales. Now, if you were operating, and I use Snowie as kind of an example here, if I was operating on a 40% profit margin, that 4,000 would then be a 10% of my total profit. So I would only be keeping 90% of my profit. And that's if I do 100,000. But what if I actually only did 60,000 in sales? Well, 4,000 would then be 6.7% of my gross sales. But if I'm operating at a 40% profit, then that 4,000 becomes 16.7% of my profit rather than just the 10%. But let's look at a little reality here. Most people, if you're operating on 60,000, my base cost, like in Snowie, I've still got to buy the building and the shaver and flavor stations. My fixed costs don't change. I've still got to pay the employee to work and pay the electrical bill and those kind of things. What changes, there's a variable in there, the cost of the snow cone. But my fixed costs don't, so my margins tend to be a little thinner if my sales are down. So reality is at 60,000, I probably only have a 30% margin of profit. What that means is then that 4,000 at a 30% profit margin, I'm paying back 22.2% of my profit back to the corporate. So who wins? You know, what if there's problems? You know, we talk about a percentage of the sales, but what if I develop some health issues and I didn't open Snowie that year? Then you still have to pay the $4,000, and that doesn't become a percentage of your profit. That becomes a $4,000 loss out of pocket, and you never made one sale with that. And what you're looking at is a lot of the reasons why we don't franchise. And what we feel is these are the things that become problematic to our franchisees if we were to do something like that. Now, so what's the best choice? Franchise, you get the support system, but limited flexibility, and you're going to pay for that support with fees and royalties. The traditional business opportunity, starting a business entirely on your own, you have no support, but it's got flexibility to do what you want, and you keep every dollar that you earn. We want to consider a hybrid business opportunity. And what do I mean by a hybrid? That is a blend of the franchise concept, its franchise support system, but the flexibility and keep what you earn in a traditional business opportunity. So where does that exist? Well, real simple. That opportunity, that hybrid business model is Snowie. And what we have here is, what does Snowie bring to the table? Do we have expertise? Well, our history goes back 35 years. And Gordon, Carl, is that 35 or is it 36 now? I was trying to remember how many years.
I've been doing about probably 36 years now. This is Carl.
36. Okay. I need to update my records on that. So 30 years of expertise in the industry. And not just simply managing snow cones, but the building of the snow cones, the equipment and the buildings, and the expertise in the equipment itself and what works and what the reliability and durability of that equipment comes to the table, along with the experience of running buildings and events and the bus and all the things we bring to the table in ways of equipment. Our proven track record. There are literally thousands of Snowie buildings, kiosks, and shavers. We are scattered across not just the United States, but we're now in 44 different countries. So we bring an international experience in dealing with so many different scenarios and windows that are out there. One of the other things we always talk about in our proven is how many go up for sale after the first year or in the first 5 years. Anybody that's ever tried to buy a used Snowie will tell you, you go out and watch eBay and Craigslist and look for used stuff going up. You don't find it. And we're not buying it back. A lot of franchises will buy the franchise back to keep it from going out on the open market. And that's something we don't buy back. We just put them out there for people to, they own them, they can sell them. It's theirs, they can sell it for what they want to sell it for. And yet you only find 1% to 2% resale each year, making it very difficult to get used equipment. Why? Because people are making money with it. It works. So again, the proven system is the proof's in the pudding and what we're seeing there. The majority of our customers own 2 or more units. They started with 1. Wow, I'm making success with this. And they added a second. And there's a number of them. It's no secret, we've talked about this a number of times, that I did the same thing. I bought one for my kids, give them something to do on weekends when my son was in high school. And now we're 10 years later and we've got 12 units that we run. So it's just, the success grows with that. And the program has proven itself repeatedly. Duplicatable system. We offer that system out there. Why reinvent it? Again, Snowie brings that to the table. Thousands of people are using our system across the board, as well as our forms, stocking, and all the different things that we go into with that. We offer open territory. We don't create restrictions. You make your own business. You got the name brand recognition that we've talked on numerous times. Again, probably the most recognized name in the snow cone business is Snowie. Support system. All you have to do is ask. Anybody that does it, they call in, how do I do this? What do you guys do here? We were very open and sharing of that information. One of the biggies, no royalties. It's interesting. You earn it, you keep it is our kind of our philosophy with that. How many people, are paying that money and they're getting nothing out of it? What the question becomes, what does the parent company do to earn those ongoing royalties? Snowie's, only thing we ask you is you got to buy your Snowie flavors from us. We want you buying, we don't want it to taste, you go to McDonald's, you don't want it to taste like a Wendy's or a Wendy's to taste like McDonald's. You want that Snowie product. And with that, that's the only way we can make money is for you to keep buying equipment and for you to buy product from us. We have to earn your business every day. And that's entirely different than a royalty program where we get the money whether you do business or not, no matter what you do. We're dependent on your success to help us be successful. Gordon, Carl, what do you guys want to add? That's kind of the overview.
Go ahead. No, you go. I loved everything you said. I think you covered a lot of important topics. I of course I get called every day on questions like this, and people are always thrilled with the answers that you just spoke. The beauty with Snowie is many people get involved in it to get their kids, teach them work ethics and give them a job, and over time they may choose to sell it, and they're not trying to sell a particular territory. They can throw their equipment or whatever on eBay or a Craigslist and sell it anywhere in the U.S. and that equipment does sell quickly, and it's just simple to get into, and when you've outgrown it or your kids no longer are interested and you're retired, whatever, it's also very easy to. Just as easy to get into it, just as easy to get out, and it's just slick, perfect for people.
This is Carl. When I I have a lot of thoughts about all this. I don't want to take a lot of time. I want to talk quickly. So when I first started, I built some equipment, and people saw the equipment and saw my success, and they said, "Whoa, will you sell me one of those and hook me up with that?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I addressed and I toyed with the franchising idea, and I looked at it a lot. I even actually tried it to an extent, but I had always tried to build and do what was good for us. So I've put myself in the position of all the end users, And I know that me personally, I wouldn't want to be strapped into paying a royalty every year. I just kind of want to be able to, get the equipment and learn what I can learn and set it up and do my own thing. And I've never wanted to say to people, oh, you can or you can't sell cookies. And if you do sell cookies out of that, then I want you to give me a piece of what you did with your cookies. And a lot of I would say in the shaved ice size franchise, probably about $15,000 of that is buying blue sky, which means if you want to walk away from and get out of it, you're going to lose $15,000. Where Snowie, everything you get with Snowie, you've got merchandise. There's items to back it up. So there's that resale value. We're not selling blue sky. We're not selling a wish and a hope, and hopefully you get your money back. And it's all backed up with equipment. And I've had a lot of people tell me that they think I'm missing the boat because I'm not a franchise, but I don't want to have to police people, and I don't want to have to look at what they do. I just want to help them, get them good equipment, and let them go. And if they want to add things to it, then more power to them. Good for them, and hopefully they're successful. And we really view ourselves a lot as manufacturers, and we make the best equipment that we can make, and we try to put that into everything. We try to have the best flavors that we can have, and it's our view on flavors and stuff has always been the very best taste. The cost was always the second to taste. As a result, a lot of our flavors cost quite a bit. I can tell you there's places you can spend a lot more for flavors than us, and yes, you can go to places that you can buy flavors for less than us. But in the big picture, it's like a fraction of a penny on a shaved ice. But and people, when it's in the concentrate form, you can view it as like $1 or $2. But when it's in the shaved ice form, meaning you've just put a shaved ice in someone's hand, and because you wanted to save a penny, they just gave you a couple dollars, and they walk away with something that tastes bad, and they're like, well, I won't buy one of those again. That was expensive. That was a expensive mistake. And we're always trying to improve our flavors. Every year we reevaluate our flavors and look at making them better. But what it comes down to really is a franchise. I don't know that they offer a whole lot more than us. I do think that the franchisor, in a lot of the cases, is the winner. They're the ones that get a guaranteed check every year, if you've really made money or not, and that it's significant. They take a good portion of your money, and so anyway, they're the winners, and I chose not to be a franchise. We just help people. We just try to provide the best equipment we can. We try to provide help like a franchise would do without charging a franchise fee. So that's kind of it on my part. Got anything? No. Any comments? Lyle?
I do want to follow up. There was a couple of questions in here about marketing materials, and we are in the process of developing those. I think it was Perry that asked about it. Things that you can use as email brochures. It can be broadcast emails, fax machine, or stuff you can drop off. We are in the process of developing all of those, and so as those become available, check with us periodically, but we'll make them available, make people aware of them through broadcast emails out to you guys, just like we do with the webinar series. So that's a good question. to ask.
Sorry, Lyle, you were talking about how do you go back and market daycares and that?
Somebody had asked, can I get a brochure, do you guys have brochures and marketing materials for the daycares and the schools? And I'm just saying we're working on that now, and we'll be doing some of that.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that. What we've done up to this point too is we provided graphics and things for people to be able to do their own. And we are now going to be doing all of those marketing materials, making them sweet, a professional look, so that they're not, people just making their own. We more kind of played an assisting role in that rather than providing them, but we are going more towards a providing route from now on. So be looking for that shortly. Also, let's see here. Yeah, and I guess that, Lyle, this one's more towards you because you've done daycares. You've done specifically what Jesse's talking about. Each and every year before the season starts, when you have to repitch business, how do you go about doing that? And, say like the administrative staff at different schools has changed, so they don't know who Snowie is anymore. How do you go about repitching them?
That problem exists in any business of this type, because there is that. I love the term the Groundhog Day. Yeah, it is repeating it over and over. I try to get where I can. I lock in multi-year contracts. Sometimes I can get them for 2 or 3 years, and it'll weather through that. And that's part of my reasoning is, hey, I don't know what your long-term goals are if you're going to be with this organization, da 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 da. I've put together some of the relationships aren't necessarily with the individual schools. I've gone into the school district to lock up the school district, and so it now has oversight, and the school then goes through the district to get access to the information. But you've still got to make those contacts one-on-one. And if I get a PTA president, I find out who their contact is at the school, and I develop the relationship there. Because it's not so much the school that changes as it is the PTA president that's scheduling you for some event. Teachers there's always somebody that's kind of the go-to, and you got to find that in that school. The daycares, I develop the relationship with 2 people. I find out who is the manager of the property, and then there's usually one that's an event coordinator, and I make sure I develop a relationship with both of them. That if chances of them both leaving from one year to the next is pretty slim. I mean, those things happen. I've been burned a couple of times where we've had a change, and I've lost some sizable events because of a mistake by somebody new and not knowing we were the go-to. It is just part of the nature of the business where it's a seasonal business. But for the most part, that's the best approach is develop multiple relationships within each organization to counteract that.
To add a little bit to that, after doing this for 35, 36 years, I see it change every year. And I have people say, well, I couldn't get this and I couldn't get that. And I'm like, well, you want to stay on top of that stuff because it does change every year. But it also affects, this is a job. It's not easy. You do have to chase those events and keep those contacts. And you got to be you got to be on your game, man. You got to be ahead of it, and you got to be in there and make sure they know you and be the winner on those things, because other people might step in and try to take them. But also things that you maybe can't get at this point, you will be able to get next year because those things do change. But it goes to the who gets the job done and who can get them and tie them up. Who gets the job done, really?
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I want to address a question here real quick by Bill. He said he's going to be opening a stand early next year. They're beginning all the necessary paperwork, possible names. If they decide to go strictly with Snowie for all their shavers, flavors, etc., do they have to use Snowie's name in their business, or can they call themselves whatever they want? The way that it works is if you call yourself Snowie, then you're required to purchase our flavors. if you purchase our flavors and shavers and buildings and all of that, you can call yourself whatever you would like. It just goes the other way around. That if you're using our name, it's very important to us that everybody has a consistent, good product. That when somebody goes to Snowie, they experience that. So that's the agreement. That if you use our name, then you must use our flavors. For those of you who do not have text, I do want to open this up. Sometimes this gets really loud, so let's see how it goes. But please feel free to ask. So everybody has an open mic at this point.
Like you say, some of their flavors out. Yeah.
Yes, I have
For sure.
about the last teleconference you had. How do you take the temperature of ice?
You know what? Sorry, pause a moment. I'm going to mute everyone but you. 1 second.
Got his name.
Okay, go ahead with that question again.
I'm muted.
Okay, go ahead with that question again. Oh, maybe I got the wrong. But I could see that. Okay, let's try it again.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yes. My question is, I keep my ice in a freezer, and then I put it into my Snowie, and a lot of times it's just so flaky it sticks to the top of the Snowie machine. And so I believe that the temperature is probably lower than you recommended, the 28 degrees.
That's correct.
So my question.
Oh, sorry. Right in the middle of that, I muted you. So do you want to address it, Carl?
I don't know.
Okay. So what the question was, and I'll open up the mic here in case I'm wrong, but your ice is so cold that it's coming across really frozen, really flaky to where it actually sticks to part of the machine. And it's just like Mother Nature. That snow is so cold and so dry. It's like when you go outside after that snowfall and you go to pack a snowball and you can't. It's just tough. It's the same scenario with this. It's necessary to temper your ice. What we tell people to do, if you have really cold ice, what I often do is I'll bring a bag out and I have a workstation drip pan that the shaver sits in. I have another one and I set some ice in it and that sits out. And I want that ice just as it's turning glossy. That's like perfect for me. I don't go in and monitor temperature. Lyle's gotten into where it chases a specific temperature. And you can do that if you are able to adjust your freezers. The majority of merchandisers I'm able to use, I can't control the temperature. So what I do is when I get that ice out, I temper it, and then that will help with that shave.
I've worked events where I've just taken a bag out of the freezer and it's really cold and it's really hard to make a shaved ice with it. And it sticks in the top and it's just a problem. So we have some bottled waters real close. And if you take a half a bottle of water and pour over the ice, it does something to it that makes it so it'll pack. It'll just make it a lot easier for you to make that shaved ice so you can move fast. But if you catch yourself with your ice too cold, then if you have some bottled waters, that'll fix that so you can keep making shaved ice as fast. I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll open up the mics again.
Aaron, you talked about the temperature, that ideal temperature.
So, all right, sir. Did we answer your question?
Yes. So I'm assuming that you just would pour a half a bottle of ice over the ice that's in the hopper.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. I've done that before too, and you don't need a full. I'm gonna mute this. Sorry. You do not need a half a water bottle. You'll just need a little bit. Like I just do one little circle in the hopper with the ice, and that would temper my whole batch. Just so you're not pouring a whole bunch of water in. And let's say you do pour a bunch of water in. One of my favorite things about the shaver too is it'll kick out anything that's at the bottom. So if you pour too much water in, you obviously don't want to sell a soggy shaved ice. So you can just step on that pedal and it's like, whoa, and it'll shove out everything that's slushy and wet. You catch that in your cup, you chuck it aside, and then you make a fresh, dry, fluffy shaved ice. And I'll open it back up again.
Thank you. You did answer my question.
Good, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
Okay. As always, is there anything else we can do?
Was that you? Okay, I'm going to mute this real quick. And Lyle, I'll take you back off one moment. All right, Lyle, it's you and I just want to read this comment because we don't get this on the video when we post it after. I think that Carl, this is from Malcolm, I think that Carl hit the nail on the head as he said previously, he brought innovation to the industry. Sometimes the franchise company runs a set standard, then has to roll that out to all franchisees. That would mean they were inflexible. Yeah, it's a great comment.
Yeah.
Does anybody else, let's see, Lyle, you are, oh, I thought I did. Okay, Lyle, go ahead.
There. No, I just, I was trying to talk about the temperature to answer that earlier and couldn't get on. It had me muted. So,
oh, okay.
But it got answered, so I just typed it out for everybody.
All right. Does anybody else have anything? Oh,
hey, Mike, are we on? I just want to, you know, another thing about us, we always, like, to this very day, I believe the day will come that you buy a blade from me that'll make better ice than and snowier than you ever have before. And it's just a matter of us figuring it out, and that's what we do. We're constantly trying to figure out, and we've got some things. We're trying to get more cutting slots and have each cutting slot take a smaller cut. So the day will come that you're gonna really like the blades that you buy from us. It's just gonna get better. It won't get worse. Let me put it that way. It's already good compared to a snow cone, and from cube ice, we make a great product. And I would say if you have my shaver, you already know that you can't beat the speed and you can't beat the texture or the snow from a cube shaver. But if you want to do that, then you need to go into like a block ice shaver. And I don't know if you've had a chance to see my block ice shaver work, but it's very, very, very snowy and fast. And we have a lot of interest in that machine. It's a good way to upgrade your shaved ice if that's what people are trying to do. So it's a snowier product. But also we will have better blades down in the future because we're always working on that stuff.
No, thank you. Perfect, thank you, Carl. And I wanted to address where people are asking about next week's topic. Next week, Snowie is coming out with a natural line of flavors. It's called Snowie Naturals. You'll be seeing some videos and some different promotional items this week, and we'll actually be doing our launch next Thursday. So anyway, we're going to be bringing in Callie, who's been developing those flavors. We have a whole new look and feel that goes along with that, and we're excited about it. We're always excited about new developments, and as was mentioned before, and in some of our earlier webinars, if you're looking for innovation, man, this is the place. We're constantly improving and changing and making things better, and so we have these natural flavors that are fantastic, and we're going to be talking about those next week and how you can implement them into your business.
Hey, Aaron?
Yeah.
Let me just ask the question about, is it cheaper to buy pre-made or all natural flavors? I'm sorry, pre-made or concentrate? And there's a big difference because when you ship, all you're shipping is the concentrate, which is 1/32 of the weight. When you're doing a pre-made, you're paying to ship not just the concentrate or the flavoring, but you're shipping the sugar and the water and all of it combined. I mean, it is 32 times the weight to ship it that way. So your shipping costs become astronomical, and it's much more economical to buy your sugar locally, mix your water with it, and then add the concentrate.
Yeah.
And again, I can walk through more detail if they want to call me.
Well, plus, there's our labor in there too. So if we have to make this syrup for people, then we're going to charge more money. So if you're buying concentrate and you figure out how to make your sugar water fast, then by far concentrate's a great way to go. And we could talk about that for a long time, like having concentrate in your stand with neutral sugar water. It's like you have you can't run out of a flavor. But there was another question here about are all of our flavors going to be natural? Is that what it was? Are they going to all be?
Are they going to be all natural?
Yeah, we're going to have two. We have two line of flavors, and one of them, the one will be the natural, and it'll be all healthy, good for you, made from natural, no artificial stuff at all. And so the natural line will be all natural, and then you can buy the other line that we will continue to have. It'll be the same flavors that we have now, unless we get a better flavor. The only time we really change flavors is if one, our source goes out of business, which we've seen a lot since '08, or number two, in the process of working on our flavors, we find something that has a better taste, then we change it. We don't ever go backwards. We only go better. What?
Yeah, and no, that's perfect. And also, just to address the last question, yeah, we sell 5-gallon jugs. We even sell a mixer. If you go on our website, we have a drill bit, a drill mount, and a mixer that you can put on a 5-gallon jug and let that thing mix while you're working on your next 5-gallon jug. There's a video. You can see the product and everything. I'm going to unmute Lyle. Lyle, sorry, I'm muting you because we're getting a bad echo from you every time we talk over here. And we can't get a word in edgewise with you, so I have to, cut you off.
Hey, if you've never seen, if you haven't seen the mixer, the drill mixer, that makes it so you can make a 5-gallon jug with. You use the same 5-gallon jug. Instead of having a mixing tank you got to wash up, you're using that 5-gallon jug. It is your mixing tank. It's your dispensing tank. It's everything. And it's so easy to use that and make your sugar water in 5-gallon quantities. And while one's mixing, you're setting up the next one. It's really it's a very good way to go, and it will save you a ton of time. We constantly are talking and helping people that have been boiling their sugar water and cooking it, and just put so much work into it, which a lot of that's not necessary. You go look at it, you go watch our video, you'll like what you see on how we make 5 gallons of sugar water. Anyway, I'm done.
Lyle, you're live again.
You got
I have nothing on my end.
okay? Any other questions?
We have anything new coming this year or next for the kiosk or bus?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I was gonna say that answer is always. Yeah, we always have new things that we'll be bringing into it. Some of it you can't readily availably see. A lot of it's like behind the scenes to make all that stuff work better, especially in the bus. Man, there's been so much innovation in the bus and making that thing get better and better and better and better. It's unreal. I could talk about a couple events that I've done and how I've been shocked by the bus and having no power and how long it worked and stuff like that. Anyway, cool stuff. But it's always improving, always better.
The little things, we could talk and talk, but we now put 3 batteries in the bus, and we've put a little bit different inverter. We used to say you could not run the air conditioner on the bus unless you plugged into power, shore power, or just plugged in or used a generator. But now you can run the air conditioner off the battery, so it really is much more self-contained off of the 12-volt system we put in the bus. That's just one example, but there's many things we keep changing and making better.
Bill, well, actually, let's see. Yeah, so Bill, to answer your question, yes, we sell starter kits. That's been one remaining hiccup that we're solving right now on the website is the way that they had to be purchased is because we have three different types of shavers, meaning 220, 110, and 12 volt. That the power packs have to anyway. It's kind of nonsense to talk about, but we just have to change like how SKUs function and how it comes into our system. But if you call us, we can talk to you about those packages. There's already a little Snowie package online, and actually it should be today that you'll be able to see those starter kits as well. But we do sell, we call those starter kits. We have a regular starter kit, so if you're using like 4 bottles, stuff like that, and we also have what's called event starter kits. So if you are going to be using a flavor station and going out doing events, we have a great starter kit for that as well. So yeah, we'd be happy to discuss those with you and any questions you have with that. Bill also says, thank you guys. The session was very informative. Your company seems great. Look forward to doing business with you in the very near future. We are located in Northwest Florida. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone. Does anybody have any final questions? I don't know if you'd like me to. I'm unmuting it one more time just in case anybody would like to add anything.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to mute this. Thank you, everyone, for coming out again. We appreciate you attending, and we look forward to meeting with you next week concerning natural flavors. We're excited about this product, so please come back and again with your questions. We can talk about anything within the biz. So thank you, and we'll talk to you next week.